seat election remains a permanent fixture on my TV screen. I sit, conflicted about whether I should feel relieved that the crooked Clintons will stay out of office, or concerned that terrible Trump is now our 45th president of the United States. I start scrolling through my Facebook and Twitter newsfeed. While my conservative friends and family are rejoicing, the liberal ones are beside themselves, livid over the results. Social media has now become the verbal battlefield, where hurtful comments are hurled towards the other side. America, don't you realize that the left wing and the right wing are connected to the same bird? For centuries, the American people have classified themselves as one of two things, Democrats or Republicans. The strong sense of political party identification quickly faded when Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton were officially named the presidential nominees of their parties in July. For both sides, a majority of voters lost faith within the members of their parties for choosing such controversial candidates. Yet, when November 8th came rolling around, those same people that were questioning their identification just months ago were fighting for their party's candidate with vigor in order to keep the lesser of the two evils out of office. As the United States continues to entrench its government within the two-party system, the division of our country amplifies. In order to escape the confines of the current system, it is necessary for people to stray away from the social norms of party affiliation and focus on the individual candidates. Achieving this requires that all candidates' voices must be heard equally. Looking back on the formation of the United States, the Founding Fathers voiced their concerns of political parties. In his farewell address, George Washington proclaims that political parties agitate the community with ill-founded jealousies and false alarms, kindles the animosity of one party against another, and foments the occasional riot and insurrection. Rather than just focusing on the development of two political parties, Washington cautions the American people to avoid political parties as a whole. He believed that the parties create divergence, which in turn creates distraction. Going back to this most recent election, it's obvious that this statement rings true. Both Clinton and Trump spent an exceeding amount of their time campaigning the politics of personal destruction. Topics relating to actual politics remain brief, while a majority of Trump's campaign was spent disparaging Hillary, and Clinton's was persuading people that Trump is a misogynistic pig. While all the attention is drawn towards the two candidates, whose main objective is to tear down one another, third-party candidates appear irrelevant. People are either unaware that third-party options exist, or believe that voting third-party would be a worthless vote. The select amount who decide to cast their ballots for a third-party candidate are ostracized by major party voters. Supporters of the losing candidate use those third-party voters as a scapegoat, simply pointing the finger, claiming that they're the reason behind this outcome. University of Michigan's Emma Kinnery interviewed students at various schools on why they chose to vote third party. Dylan Jarrell, a student at University of North Carolina, said, "I voted third party because I wanted to vote my conscience, not my fears. Voting third party shows that I am officially not okay with any of this, and that I want it to change for the better. To me, it is better than being one of the many votes for a bad candidate." As a third-party voter myself, I can personally say that Clinton and Trump supporters attempted to sway my vote to their candidate by either saying A, my vote would be wasted, or B, my vote would be used to support the candidate that they disliked. Although my vote would not get my candidate into office this election, I understood that it could increase the likelihood of them winning the next election in 2020. According to the Federal Election Commission, when a third-party candidate receives 5 to 25% of the total popular vote, that candidate is then eligible for funding in the succeeding election. Receiving public funding will allow third-party voices to be heard by the public, solely creating a level playing field for all presidential candidates, rather than just the two major parties. This is the first step towards the demise of our current duopoly and the restoration of democracy. The second step requires total campaign finance reform. Undoubtedly, the current political finance system is corrupt due to the formation of super political action committees. Political action committees, aka PACs, consist of separate segregated funds, which are established and administered by corporations, labor unions, membership organizations, or trade associations. They're also made up of non-connected committees, which are individual contributions from citizens and small businesses. The impact of super PACs in the 2016 election were analyzed in a recent study conducted by the Brennan Center for Justice at the New York University School of Law. Professor Brent Ferguson wrote, "While many have understood that PACs would make a significant impact on elections, few could have predicted the speed with which they have evolved and moved to the center of our political system, reshaping the political landscape." In a 2015 town hall meeting, Senator Bernie Sanders compares the power of PACs to NASCAR drivers with their sponsors' logos on their cars and uniforms, by having the crowd imagine a politician holding up a sign saying, "I'm sponsored by Big Oil." Similarly to the NASCAR industry, PACs buy out political officials that have the strongest government connections. In the New York Times publication, Which Presidential Candidate is Winning the Money Race, it's clear to see that the PACs contributed the most to those with strong political ties, especially generation politicians such as Hillary Clinton and Jeb Bush. And from this ProQuest graph with information provided by the Federal Election Commission, it's clear to see that their power is only growing with time. With how much power PACs possess, their endorsement and funding control of the politically established candidate rules out any other candidate options unless they're independently wealthy in Trump's case. Altering the current system of campaign financing to equal public funding will not only allow all candidates to have an equal voice while campaigning, but it will also enable common people to have an equivalent influence. While I wish we could revert back to Washington's idea of no political parties, that approach is simply unrealistic. Considering how involved political parties have become in the United States government, the only way to go back to an indivisible nation is to allow for more parties for the American people to choose from. In her book, The Doctrine of the Two-Party System, Lisa Jane Dish puts the situation into perspective perfectly by saying, just as it would be ludicrous to have stores that provided only two styles of shoes, it is no less absurd to have a party system that provides only two choices to represent the great variety of opinions. It is now roughly 2 months after the inauguration of Trump, and tensions are still high between the Democrats and the Republicans. This serves as proof that the current system isn't alleviating pressures between the two parties. It's doing the exact opposite, continuously driving our country farther and farther apart until it simply cannot handle the strain any longer. We must prevent this long-anticipated dilemma and continue forward with the only logical solution, the integration of third parties into our government. So when the 2020 election comes up, just remember, vote for who you think is the best fit for presidency, and look beyond the Democratic and Republican parties if they're not offering what you're looking for. Cast your vote on a candidate who your views resonate with, not just a candidate who happens to be a member of your party. The only way to create a nationwide change is to create a change within ourselves. Thank you.